Hey guys, we're going to talk about Israel Ray Smith. Hey guys, Victoria Paxton here. Thanks for stopping back by my YouTube channel. How y'all doing? Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's free. Alright, if you're a fake psychic, get off of YouTube. If you're a real psychic, you are so welcome here, and I would love to get to know you. So leave me a comment. And FYI, there's been something wrong with my comments. I respond to them and they disappear. Poof, like I don't know what's going on. So yeah. All right, you guys. So today we're going to talk about Israel Ray Smith, okay? So I had talked about a couple of weeks in a row on Friday Night Live that I was dreaming of this young man that was sitting on his floor playing his video games, and he was abducted. I figured out it was this gentleman. The bizarre thing was I had replied to a comment that someone had left me asking me if I would look into this case, right? And had no earthly idea that that was in fact who I was dreaming about. I happened to go to the next name on my list because generally if I go to the next name on my list, you know, my list is like in a notebook. Generally, if I go to that next one, it's like, I know, like instantly I know, oh, that's who I was dreaming about. Okay. That didn't happen. So let's say this is my little book with the names in it. So I flipped the page and I was like, why am I not getting this? Like, why is it not coming to me? And I flipped the page and I'm looking at all the names and I'm looking at all the names on the next page and I flipped the page again. And there it was. It was one of my last entries. And then that's when I, in fact, knew that the gentleman I had been dreaming about and that I had spoken about on Friday Night Live was, in fact, this young man. So, Israel Ray Smith was born on January 18th, 1980. He was 28 years old and had been employed with Radio Shack from 2007 until he vanished in 2008 in Wytheville, Virginia. He was well-liked, had a good work ethic, seldom missed a day from work, and never without calling in. Due to him being so well thought of there, it would be his job that called the police for the initial welfare check. On March 10th, 2008, Israel, nicknamed Iz, got off his shift at 8 p.m. and visited his brother. He also had spoken to his mom on the phone at some point earlier in the day, and he generally spoke to her twice a week. His supervisor stated he acted normal all throughout his shift and parted with, "I'll see you tomorrow." On the 11th and 12th of March, his mom stopped by his apartment. His SUV was in the yard, but he did not answer the door on either of those visits, and she left notes on the door for him to call her. On March 13th, Israel's brother's birthday, the family became concerned when none of them had heard from him. So that evening, the brother, his girlfriend, and his mother went by the apartment together. Again, the vehicle was still there, but Israel didn't answer the door. At this point, his mother speaks to the neighbor who states that they had not seen him. On the 14th, Israel's mom once again returns, and this time she notices the vehicle has not been moved and the doors are unlocked. There's clean laundry inside the vehicle. She then proceeds to try the apartment door, which is also unlocked. Her son was not inside the apartment, so she called the police. When she does call them, they informed her they'd actually been to the apartment earlier in the morning for a welfare check that was requested by his employer. Police informed her that when they arrived, they noticed the apartment door was ajar and they noticed the SUV was unlocked with the keys inside. Inside the apartment, the lights and television were on and a game controller was plugged in and laid out in the middle of the living room floor. They also stated his keys were on the coffee table. But he had also stated that keys were in the SUV, so maybe he had kept his car keys and his apartment keys separate. Don't know. Nothing was missing, and there was no sign that he intended to be gone for any length of time. Israel had a 7-year-old son at the time. His mother doesn't believe he'd leave without warning. He loved his son, and he was very responsible. Israel had not used his cell phone or bank account since he disappeared. Authorities say there is no sign of foul play, but they don't think he left on his own accord. The person that wrote this added this: I'm wondering about the timeline here. If the mom was there on the 11th through the 13th, why was the apartment door suddenly ajar on the morning of the 14th when law enforcement did their welfare check? If you have any information about Israel, please contact the Withville Police at 276-223-3300. Okay. So, I was having a dream about a young man sitting on his living room floor playing a video game, just like my kids used to do when they were younger. I saw two gentlemen come in. One begins like beating the living daylights out of this guy, okay? They tie him up with duct tape and they hang around his apartment for a while, okay, in my dream. So in my dream, it's really hard for me to tell timing in my dreams, but it was a long period of time because I'm like literally seeing him like laying there with his hands tied behind his back, right? He's laying on the floor and he's bloody and he's clearly sobbing. He has tape over his mouth. And I see these guys going to the restroom. I see them in the kitchen. I see them like just living life. So, okay, I then see it's like dark out and they carry him out to a car. It's a black four-door car. It looks like maybe a Toyota or a Honda Accord, you know, like a four-door minimum sized, you know, not a huge car, not a tiny car, but kind of in between. So there's a young black guy in the driver's seat. He had not been a part of this up till now. So he was in the driver's seat. The other two guys, they're either white or light-skinned black, including, you know, they're the two that were hanging out in his apartment and that one beat the shit out of him. I don't know why, you guys, but when I'm seeing in this dream, I somehow just know that this has to do with a woman. I don't know what woman. I don't know if it was like an ex of his or something, but this had to do with a woman. The other thing that I was noticing in the dream, you know, I'm sure if you watch any true crime cases, a lot of times you'll hear the detectives say this was like a really personal murder, okay? I didn't see him being murdered per se, but it definitely was personal. Like, just the intensity of beating him, it was definitely personal. So they somehow, I don't know how they knew him, but they did. Or they were getting even with him or something. It was something personal. So I'm seeing, later I'm seeing, okay. So I'm seeing them driving him, and it's like a really windy road, almost like the mountains in West Virginia. It's like, you know, really windy, trees on both sides. So like, almost like they were going, I think, up a mountain, it appeared. Yeah, it looks like they were going up a mountain. I couldn't see anything after that. Yeah. I don't believe he's with us any longer. I do believe that he's gone. And like I said, I kept getting that it had something to do with a woman. So I don't know if they were getting even with him and this had to do with someone he used to date or maybe somebody he used to work with or something. I don't know, but it seemed very personal. I definitely believe it had to do with the woman. And it was just really intense. Like, they were just, you know, so let's say they didn't know him and they just showed up, you know, to rob him or something. It was much more than that. Like, it just seemed so intense. And it definitely, this guy just kept, like, over and over again, just punching this guy in the head and slamming his fist into his head and his head hitting, you know, hitting the carpeting, or I think it was carpeting. I can't remember now, but it was definitely like intense. And they were really, well, it was only the one guy who was beating him, but it was just really intense. And you wouldn't expect it to be that horrible if it was just somebody that looked upon an open door, you know, and they came in. You know what I mean? It just, it was bad. I do believe that his remains will be found in the future. I do feel that. Unfortunately, I don't think that anyone will be arrested for his murder. But I do think they will find his remains at some point in the future. So it was a tough one, you guys. Like, I can't deal with seeing someone being beaten. It's just something I just can't deal with it. You know, I know there are people, like one of my son's old friends, he used to watch videos about like kids getting into fights in school and stuff. And I'm like, how can you watch that crap? Like, it's just too intense. Like, I just cannot, for shit, I can't watch that kind of stuff. I just can't do it. I don't know what it is, but so yeah, join me 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, right here for Friday Night Live. Talk about all the fun shit that's going on in this house. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Be nice, be kind, stay safe, stay healthy, and that about does it for me. Bye, guys.